Hi, Turner. How are
Hi,
you?
Hayley. I'm great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for coming on and being willing to share your time, your expertise, and just your knowledge here about the Upcycle Food Association. Really appreciate it. And it's crazy times, but kind of fun times too, because we get to do new things like this. And I actually met you like right around the time that COVID started, and we launched in this and this interesting webinar together for the Upcycled, working with Celtice and having Upcycled as part of our story. And then Tony found you and your company, or your organization, on upcycling in general. So it's just really cool how it all happened, how we got introduced to one another, and then learning more about your organization and really the impact that y'all are having globally. So I would love for you to share a little bit more about yourself and how you got into this, and then how the Upcycle Food Association, which you are the CEO of, um, how that came into existence.
Sure, yeah. And Haley, the friends that we make during COVID are the most meaningful of life. So
They're
um,
kind of cool.
nice to meet you. Happy to be here. Thanks for letting me be a part of it. Um, so background into how Upcycle Food Association started. I started my career in the food waste space. Um, that's the industry, the movement to try to reduce food waste. Probably most people have heard that 40% of food goes to waste, which is terrible because 1 in 7 or so Americans is food insecure or experiences hungry. And so I got involved in this industry when I was still in college working for a food rescue organization. That's a nonprofit that picks up food that would otherwise be going to waste and delivers it to low income families. It's really great work, especially right now in the time of COVID. Super important because there are so many people who have lost their income and still need access to food. Critical work. I encourage everyone to go support their local food rescue organization. Um, and I worked for an organization called Denver Food Rescue, served as the executive director there for about 7 years, and loved that organization and that community so much. And one of the things that we did while I was there that was really innovative was kind of started to realize we have all of this excess food that we are rescuing, but then we're not able to redistribute it for whatever reason, namely bread. Anyone who's ever worked in food rescue, as anyone can probably imagine, there's just so much excess bread because we want it to be fresh bread from today. And so at the end of the day, a baker or a retailer or grocery store, they just donate all of it. And so any food rescue organization is basically totally overwhelmed with the amount of bread they have. So
Yeah.
what do we do with all this excess bread? Well, we started doing things like brewing that bread into beer. There's sugar in bread, right? Carbohydrates. And so you can make, ferment that into alcohol, turn it into beer. And then we sold that beer to local restaurants. And it was a great way to make money for the organization that normally has to depend solely on the goodness of people's hearts by people donating, um, uh, gifts out of their own pocket, basically, right? So not super sustainable. And so kind of had this aha moment of, what if the whole food waste movement, what if every food rescue organization were able to upcycle the otherwise wasted food from their own inventory into value that helped support their own organization? So I started kind of poking around in the upcycling space. The upcycling space, most people when they hear upcycled, they think of creating furniture out of pallets or something like that. But in the upcycled food space specifically, I learned that there is actually a lot of really great stuff going on, and even some pretty big successful companies that are using otherwise wasted ingredients to make new products. Um, and about a year ago, an initial group of these companies came together to form a nonprofit organization that really addresses the shared barriers, the shared obstacles of businesses that exist in this industry that are upcycling otherwise wasted food. So we got together at late 2019, and it has been an absolute roller coaster, wonderful ride building this really innovative startup nonprofit since then.
That's awesome. Yeah, so it's really like I saw the need, and you fulfilled it. So it's really great. I mean, you wouldn't know this about me, but there was a time where I was food insecure, like right after college, and I had moved out to LA. I have this story where I had, like, lived off of ramen noodles, and just like make it more interesting, I had like Taco Bell sauce that I put on it just to like make it different. And there was another time where I was a single mom with my oldest daughter, and I had just left my ex-husband, and like we didn't have food for, maybe like a week. I was like, I don't really know, like, if I'm gonna, like, where I can get my food, because things were just really tight. So I think it's definitely interesting to think about the food insecurity, because it is real. I think even for people that you don't know or wouldn't suspect, and also like for all that food that is around, like you're saying, what do you do with it? How do you put it to better use? So I think there's like two prongs of that. But I love what you're doing in terms of coming together for corporations and trying to solve problems like that. It's really awesome. And so we're talking about solving this problem for the food industry and the waste of the industry. But is there a specific problem that you solve for brands or for companies? When we look at the Upcycled Food Association, what problems does it solve for a brand or a company?
Yeah, well, first of all, Hayley, I want to say that's really brave for you to share that experience, because that's a really hard experience that you had, and it's not uncommon at all. Millions of Americans experience very similar situations. It's prolific, like you said, more than you would expect, people who you'd never expect. And it kind of makes you think about our food system in a new way, because it's just such a mismatch, right? When there's so much food, 40% of food going to waste, how is it that there's millions of Americans that are food insecure? And we know that, I mean, that means that there's plenty of food, right? It's just a matter of getting it to where it needs to go at the time that it needs to be there. It's not that there's not enough food, and that's true globally too. There's enough food in the world to feed, more than enough food to feed everyone. We just have to make sure it is where it is when it needs to be there. And that's really what the concept of upcycling is all about. And to answer your question, the solution that it provides for food businesses, or for any business for that matter, is it's all about elevating to the highest value and best use. So every food business out there, every business, you put a lot of energy into the stuff that you produce. And particularly food, it takes a ton of energy to grow, transport, sell under those beaming lights in an expensive big grocery store that you have to heat in the winter. It takes a lot of energy to bring the food from a farm onto someone's dinner plate. And so the basic concept, the philosophy is just, let's not let any of that food, or that energy rather, not let any of that energy go to waste. If you put so much energy into producing something, you should be getting value out of all of that. And at every step along the value chain of food, production, distribution, sale, everywhere, there's manufacturing, there's waste that's happening. And so it's about collecting that, those otherwise wasted nutrients, and elevating them to something that is higher value. And luckily, there are so many uses for those otherwise wasted nutrients that are byproducts of food manufacturing or food production, that you can use them to make any number of really valuable products. And so that's why, most of our members in the Upcycled Food Association are producing food products, but some of them are producing things that are not food products, like cosmetics or home care or personal care. And so, this movement is really about unlocking that value. We know that there's tremendous value in the food that we put so much energy into producing. Let's go unlock that value and make something real out of it.
Yeah, and I would interpret that value like for a brand as meeting some sustainability objectives, meeting looking at better design too, and how that can be put maybe into their objectives for social impact, and just thinking how they would be able to speak with their investors or how to categorize the expense. But definitely, yeah, creating more value with something that's already in existence. I think that's great for brand.
It doesn't have to be, I mean, yeah, it can be accomplishing a sustainability objective. It can be, I mean, there's lots of ways that you can define value, but the most straightforward one, I think the reason that upcycling is so appealing both to consumers and to companies is that it's just more money, right? Like if you're letting this thing go to waste right now, and you can be commercializing that and creating a valuable product or ingredient out of it, that's like the most straightforward business language that you can speak, right? It doesn't, even if a company didn't care about sustainability at all, that would still be true. And so food waste in particular, there's this stat that we love, 95% of people want to reduce food waste in their own lives, which to me says two things. First of all, who are those sick 5% that don't care about food waste? But then also 95%, that's a lot. Like that's more than most people agree on just about anything, right? And so it's this really sort of apolitical, bipartisan environmental issue that, according to Project Drawdown, also happens to be the single greatest solution to climate change, which bears repeating. Single greatest solution to climate change, according to Project Drawdown, is to reduce food waste. That's also something that 95% of people want to accomplish. That's also an area that business, which is like the bad guy of the environmental movement, right? It's like the environmental movement is really here to clean up after industry, after business. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. Business can make more money by doing the right thing for the environment at the same time.
Yeah, so it's a trifecta of good things. So, and then, so what do you have specific services, or what are the services of the Upcycled Food Association to a brand? If they were to like join the program, what would that look like? What would you provide to them?
Yeah, absolutely. And I did not plan this, I swear. I really didn't, but I have a couple of our members' products sitting right here.
Oh, that's great.
This is a soda made from cacao fruit, like from the fruit that we take the seeds normally, only the seeds, and throw the fruit away when we're making chocolate. Here's Jolly Fruit Co. They're a member. They take fruit that would otherwise go to waste and make this dried fruit packet out of it. So, I mean, the best thing that you get out of being a member is shout outs to your specific products on webinars and recorded interviews. No, not really. Those truly just happen to be on my desk, I promise. So this organization, Upcycled Food Association, is a member-driven organization. We exist to grow, well, our mission is to reduce food waste by growing the upcycled food economy. And so we have a couple ways of doing that, all under this member-driven ethos. So we believe that businesses like the two that I just showed you and the 90 or so other businesses that are in our membership have lived experience of the problems that we're trying to solve, and so they should be in the driver's seat in terms of creating solutions. So what are our solutions that we provide to members? We have a few strategic goals, things like, well, bringing more financial capital into the upcycled food industry so that it can grow, improving the network of upcycled food businesses, so increasing the amount of connections and interconnectedness and communication between businesses, increasing demand for upcycled food, probably the biggest one. So really, this is a consumer-driven movement, and we're trying to increase visibility to and access to upcycled food products so that consumers can resonate with their 95% chance of wanting to reduce food waste and go, oh, by buying this product, I am helping to accomplish that environmental outcome that I want to see happen in the world. And so what we don't do is provide one-on-one business consultation. We don't tell you, you know, here's how you create a upcycled business that's going to be successful. What we do is we try to make the world a better place for anyone to use the word upcycled and put it on their cosmetic or their dried fruit company, and it's automatically going to sell better because consumers have been educated on upcycling. They have been exposed to that concept. We have shown them that this is a way for them to vote with their dollars to accomplish the single greatest solution to climate change. We've improved the supply chain to make it easier for brands to source the upcycled ingredients and vice versa. And kind of, like I said, make the world a more habitable place for any upcycled business to exist.
Yeah, it's great. And I mean, we'll have a link to the webinar that you and I did also with Tony and another company. But I will say that one of the things that makes it very, very nice for brands is that upcycled, unlike some other terms like natural, this is a globally defined term. And that was something that happened this year, right? With the input of Harvard and Drexel University, you'll have a clearly a definition, and so that goes a long way, as you said, to make it easy to adopt and to educate. So awesome. And so my next question is, what does a company need to have in place before they start working with you? Is there anything in specific for them to sign up to be part of the association?
Well, I'll answer that question, but at first I just want to give some shout outs to things that you just mentioned. So we did come up with the first official formal definition of upcycled food this year with the help of Harvard and ReFed and Drexel University, NRDC, WWF, and some other groups. And now that definition really serves as the foundation for a lot of other really interesting work that we get to do. So huge thanks to those partners. And Tony, who you have mentioned, is from another one of our members, Renmatics, that has both a food ingredient and a cosmetic ingredient that is upcycled. And we're really happy to work with them too. And what Renmatics and Shoka and Jolly Fruit Co., what all these groups have in common is that they are a business, first of all. It's a business organization and that either provides a service to or is a member of the upcycled food industry. So we are really proud to have a great amount of diversity, both in the geography of our members. We have members across 14 countries, and in the products, we have dozens of consumer packaged products that are, finished and ready to be sold in retail. We actually found recently that there are over 400 upcycled products currently on the marketplace. We have dozens of ingredient suppliers, and then also service providers. So there are all kinds of services like consultation and branding and legal and research that are critical to the upcycled food industry, the upcycled industry, to be successful, that we as the association do not offer. And so our associate members, as we call them, are those service providers that are dedicated to the upcycled industry and kind of round out the diversity of the network and the ecosystem that we're building. Other than that, you don't have to have like massive distribution. You don't have to be anything. You can be pre-launch. We have a good number of pre-launch businesses that are in the membership. We have membership dues that are based on sliding scale. So membership is actually free for startups that have been in business less than 2 years. So we really encourage entrepreneurs and startups to be a part of the network. and all the way up. We also have big multinationals and publicly traded companies as part of our membership as well. So really proud of the amount of diversity that is in our membership in that way.
It's great. And to be a U.S. organization and to have, you said 14 different countries involved, I want the brands or people watching this to understand that this is outside of the United States. This is global organization. And so I think that gives brands even just the idea to be able to plug into the network of companies that are already there, the service providers, if they're wanting to go into a different, this niche area, think about these pre-launch companies, right? It could be really great for them, right? To get into this new area, have this new types of distributions and in various countries as well. So it's really exciting, very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then how long is the onboarding process for when a company wants to start working with you? Is there a particular way that you go down to like verify the company? Does it take months? Does it take weeks or a couple of days? What does that look like?
It takes mere hours really to join as a member. There's a really simple single page signature page of our agreement that you sign and return, and then it's off to the races really. Then we start bringing you in. You get signed up for our online communication tool where all of our members communicate with us and each other. You start receiving our newsletter and information that is members only. We have webinars on different research that's coming out and other opportunities that's only for members. And then, another big part of it is having, this is a fledgling industry that is probably, we are working as hard as we can to make this true, going to be the foremost sustainable product category that people look for when they're in the grocery store, and that in years to come, in the not too distant future, you're going to be able to fill up your entire cart with upcycled products, whether that's personal care, cosmetics, food, pet food, food for your baby, whatever. You're going to be able to fill up your entire cart of upcycled, so that every product you're buying helps to reduce food waste. And that's really exciting. It's a huge opportunity. And so another reason that businesses are joining is to kind of have a seat at the table and to be a part of this really exciting movement that's growing really fast and is poised to be very influential in our world.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, Turner, for all the work that you've done, all the accomplishments, and really bringing together the world. It's really amazing. So I'm so grateful that you're part of this community and that you've chosen to work with Dandi Day and for us to make a difference in the personal care, the beauty and cosmetics industry. I do have one last question is, what is something that you're grateful for?
That's such a great question. And one answer to that is grateful to be here. Likewise, Hayley, happy partnered with Dandi Day, and thank you. We've, certainly haven't done it alone. What is one thing that I'm grateful for? I'm grateful to be able to work on something that I'm passionate about that also has such a great impact on the world. And that's kind of been my way of thinking about things for my whole life. Is like, I really want to help the environment. I'm very outdoorsy, so I'm always thinking about like, how can I help protect these beautiful mountains that I live across the street from? And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to work in something where I get to show other people who might not care about sustainability at all that they can make that a part of their life too. By using upcycled ingredients as a business, by purchasing upcycled foods or other products as a consumer, you can make a really big impact. And even for those who don't have a constantly environmental or social bent like me, there are really easy, effective things that you can do. And I'm very grateful for that.
Yes, well, the whole world is grateful, I would say. So whether they know you or not, just the impact that you're making, and definitely like your passion, your vision to make all of this happen and to bring everybody together again is just really phenomenal. So thank you so much again for your time today. I'm going to stop recording and say goodbye, but we will see you next time. So thank
Thanks,
you so
Hayley.
much.
Thank you.